Well, apparently we didn't have enough rain yet, so here's more rain. But fortunately, we're not staying in Tennessee, we're driving to North Carolina to ride Kanuga Bike Park, where it's not gonna rain today according to the weather forecast. But still, some of the tracks might be wet due to the past days of raining, so we probably won't be able to ride the whole bike park, unfortunately. Hi guys, today we are at Kanuga, North Carolina for some sick jumps. And I'm riding with
Lawrence Najumi. I'm from New Jersey, and I pretty much just stay here whenever I come out here. It's Kanuga.
Lawrence has a Lynx for me that I'm going to try out today. I can't wait to send the lines with it, and I will tell you more at the end of the day. All right, let's set up the Lynx now. Today I'm also riding with my buddy
Chad or Bevy, you see?
Oh,
That was a good one.
Look at this man. He's got a special talent. And also, as usual, today I'm riding with my main man, Brad.
That was not looking good, Lawrence.
Quick advertising. For no more than $50 an hour, Brad follows you on the trail and comments your ride. Here's an example following Lawrence.
That was not looking good, Lawrence.
And we're going to start with the line named Tortuga. It's a blue line, it has about 10 jumps, some berms. It's gonna be ideal to test the Lynx. So let's get into it. At first the suspension felt extremely stiff, so I did lower the preload a little bit and also messed up with the compression and rebound adjustments. But at that point it still feels uncomfortable to me. Not very efficient, super stiff on the landings. And here comes the big jump of the line. Let's go! Wheel is pretty hard to whip, manageable though. Here I go pretty deep in the jump, and you can clearly hear that I'm bottoming out the wheel, even with the stiff suspension settings, which is quite of a disappointment to me. Also the wheel feels super heavy to ride for me, and I'm having a hard time maneuvering in the turns, which forces me to ride slower than usual. Also the algorithm doesn't help, as it's pretty unpredictable when you lean the wheel in the turns, though it's not as bad as Bigode. After that, I took the S22 for a ride on other lines, and I was having fun until this happened. Hold on. I think it's the perfect occasion to do you a quick tutorial on how to case a jump 101. Step 1. Totally misjudge the required speed. Step 2. Get that big pedal dip. Step 3. Understand you're fucked. Step 4. Aim for the side of the trail, where the ground is cushy. Butt comes off. Roll nicely. Motherboard fries. God mod comes off. Walk away as if nothing happened, and watch the wheel go.
I guess it's hard. You don't think I would need so much speed?
And we're back from Kanuga, and I'm sure you're going to be delighted to know our first impression on the Lynx. First time for you too, right?
Yep, first time. I was excited.
Okay, you're first.
Okay, I'll go first. So, yeah, my buddy Chad got one, so I was super stoked for him. He just got it in from E-Wheels. A couple other top-of-the-line riders had theirs already as well. So I was pretty stoked to be able to try it out. My first impressions, I loved it. Honestly, I did. I had good first impressions. I thought the suspension needed a little adjusted for my liking. But overall, I was kind of surprised by the suspension because it had less travel than the S22, and I thought the travel felt adequate in my opinion. It seemed to have good pop off the jumps. I was kind of surprised. I was over jumping a little bit versus the same speed I had with my S22. I bermed okay with it. The torque and the power was there. You know what I mean? It definitely, if you were like, oh shit, I'm not going fast enough, you could torque the lip and you'd be fine. You want to pedal dip and it feels sketchy like it does with the S22. Definitely felt heavier. I felt like if I wanted to whip it and get all tricky, I really couldn't do it near as easily, especially as the S22. And I loved sitting and riding on it, honestly. I don't seat ride at all. I don't ride street, but I sat down on the thing on a return trail because my feet were burning a little bit, and I just chilled, you know what I mean? No seat on or anything, just sat on the hard case and just It was so easy to ride.
On a hard case.
Yeah, it was so easy to ride seated though. Like my S22, I feel like I can't brake, and it just feels sketchy to ride seated. And so it rode seated well, and I don't know what else I can say. I overall impression, I love the tire. Glad they're using that Kendo tire, and reminds me of my Shinko 241. So overall, I really liked the wheel. I went into it knowing the suspension on some of them made a thunking noise, and it sure did. It and I was like, something wrong with this? Why is it making that noise? I don't want to be turning your thing up.
I didn't have that on Lawrence Lynx.
Yes, so his didn't have it.
So it might be an issue with Chad's wheel, probably. Maybe something was loose, right?
Possibly, yeah. So it's kind of a known,
it would make sense.
Issue that can happen with them.
Yeah, it was just like the V14, what we experienced. It was clunking.
It's very similar, yes.
Yes, every time it was coming back up. So that's really annoying and that messes up your ride. But I didn't have that with Lawrence wheel that I tried for one day. But my feelings are a bit more mixed than you. So I will start with the pros. So the pros is that the wheel is super powerful. You can feel it right from the beginning, and you're really more comfortable sending big jumps or sending quite anything. I was not surprised by the pop of the wheel. I could, from the get-go, I could evaluate the amount of speed I needed for each jump with no problem. No casing, no oversend, went fine. So that's the good part. The less good part is that the wheel feels super heavy. I don't know for you, I'm a lighter rider than you, but the wheel felt super heavy and I had a hard time controlling it. So I couldn't go as fast as with the S22, especially in turns. So in turns, there are two issues. First, it's super heavy. It feels, I don't know, it's same weight than the V14 probably.
Well, we'd have to weigh it to know for sure.
Yes,
because,
but the tire is bigger, so it makes sense that it's less controllable. Maybe the pedals are also higher, I don't know, but it was hard to control. And the algorithm was not ideal in berms. It was giving me some weird angles. The pedals definitely didn't act predictably. You know, the algorithm was not predictable in turns. As soon as I was leaning the wheel, because you know, I like to lean a lot and
I didn't lay
take
it over as much as you
yes,
did.
so I like to lean a lot in the berms and to take a lot of speed. Usually I push the S22 a lot in these banked turns, and here I just couldn't. I was super slow in the berms because I felt that I would just get out of the line, you know.
Yeah.
And basically after a few times riding down the Tortuga line, my legs were literally burning from trying to control that wheel. Yes. So that was definitely not a pleasant experience. And also I had issues to tune up the suspension properly. At the beginning it was super stiff. At the end it was better, but I still felt that it was stiff. And as soon as I was on more technical lines, it was just a nightmare. I was super slow in the turn, trying to control the wheel, and it felt super uncomfortable on successive impacts. So what I would say is that if you're a lighter rider like me, you really have to try out the wheel before buying it, because you might experience the same thing than me, and that could be a bad surprise, because I would never take the Lynx to, for example, for race off-road. I would be comfortable sending big jumps kind of in a straight line, but as soon as you have more technical features, even small, with turns, with stones, with roots, I would never take the Lynx.
Also, something we haven't mentioned yet, it's like not straight. The battery packs, the fairings.
Yes.
It makes you ride bow-legged. For us, it was so unnatural. It was the weirdest thing ever, because you're riding like this and
you want
in line.
You want to be like this and not like this.
Yes.
That's it, like a delta.
Yeah, it was the opposite of natural. It was very weird. So I think we would almost have to add something to flush that out.
Some cushioning.
I don't know why it's designed like that.
I don't think they thought about it when designing it.
It's got a fat head. Like
you get a
fatter head.
Yes. And overall, the outer shell and the handles, it's good because they protect the wheel, but they are also made of super hard material. So if you crash, if the wheel falls on you, it will be super bad for you. So if you want your wheel to be safe, you will need to invest in some aftermarket handles and maybe in some aftermarket shells, outer shells. I don't know if they're available or not.
Yeah, I saw some 3D printed Lynx out there.
Okay.
For the Lynx. So, but you could 3D print your own, or if you have a buddy with a 3D printer, or buy 3D prints or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, the files are out there, so you can. I mean, if you have 3D printers, pretty cheap. If the files are free,
Yes.
you can make all that protection, which is nice. So thank you to the guy that's making all this stuff. I appreciate it.
Yes. And also last thing to consider with the Lynx, but I knew it before, is that the shock system is proprietary. So you cannot swap the shock, or you can change the oil, but personally I don't know how to do that, and it seems like a complicated process.
I would think so, but
yes.
I never tore into it or checked into it.
Yes.
But that was a concern of mine from the get-go, is this seems like something foreign to me, and it seems complicated, and possibly we don't know how high maintenance it is, you know what I mean? Because when the rollers came out for the S22, great, we got rollers. Oh, they break all the time, and they get dirty super quick, so you have to always clean them, maybe oil them, but then they're dirty when you oil them.
Yeah.
So we don't know, I mean, it hasn't been around long enough to know how often are they going to be changing this oil or their springs, or what's going to go bad with it. You know what I mean?
That's something that is not as mainstream, I would say, as MTB shocks. So if you want to have knowledge about MTB shocks, you can ask any MTB riders. They will pretty much know everything about shocks. But for the Lynx type of shocks, I don't know. I wouldn't know who to ask. It's quite particular, I would say.
I do. I'm intrigued by if they can get by with this design, which from my riding experience, I was pleased with it. It seems like a lot less weight on the back end up there, you know, from the MTB shock and linkage. So that's nice. You remove all that weight, and then less things that can get hit on the back end.
Sure.
So if you can eliminate all that, great. But you also eliminate all the aftermarket possibilities of having a high quality American or European MTB shock.
It's our first impressions. So we would have to have the wheel for longer period of times and be able to experience things with the shock system, with the all aftermarket possibilities like the pedals, of course, changing pads, to have a more definite experience about this wheel. But the great thing is that it's powerful. It doesn't pedal dip like the S22 does, which led me to a tumble which was not so big, but the wheel gave up, and then it free spun and motherboard blew.
Yeah, motherboard blew.
Again.
Which I kind of called beforehand.
Yes.
I said if you put this angle cutout at 70 degrees and you crash, it will blow the motherboard.
Which is insane, actually.
Yes. I said, please put it on like 66 or high 60s. And he said, no, I'm going to lay it down on the berms, and I don't want any risk of cutout. So I'll put it on 70. I said, okay, don't wreck it, because it's our last motherboard. And then Chad calls me, hey, he wrecked it. Your motherboard's fried.
That's too bad.
Thanks to Chad, because I rode Chad's wheel the rest of the day, and then you rode Lawrence's Lynx.
Yes. Guys, we received the battery pack from eWheels for the V14, and we replaced the faulty battery pack. So let's just try to turn it on and see what happens. And it works. No error. Balances. I can stand on it. All good. The V14 being fixed, I was finally able to record a review that will be coming up next. After that, we took a few days off riding with Brad. We did some trekking to see the Tennessee waterfalls that were swollen by the past days of rain. And this is how it ends. I had some great riding, even though the rain and the issues on the wheel kept coming our way and prevented us to ride everything we wanted. But anyway, there's more to it than the riding itself. This was a real adventure. Not only did I ride and discover new places, but I got to spend time with great people that I was pleased to meet again. With a very special thought, of course, for Brad and his wife Sabrina, who did warmly welcome me at their home during the whole trip. The trip, the riding, the experiences, all of this ultimately comes to an end, but a great friendship will continue to last. Tomorrow I'll be in Nashville to take my plane, and the next day I'll be in Paris. But right now, it's still Tennessee, and it's beautiful. So let's enjoy the sunset for one last time.